Hello on this beautiful day and welcome back to my channel. Where was I last week? Well, where was my head last week? I realised when I watched the video back after a couple of days that I actually got the date wrong. I said the 7th of June, it should have been the 7th of July because today is the 14th of July. And I said September and I meant December. Oh, excuse me, that's my talking mobile. So my head was all over the place last week, but it was because I was in a frantic rush. So hopefully today I've got my head a bit more in gear and I can talk more sensibly about my week. I'm going to start by sharing with you something really lovely that's happened to me this morning. A lot of you will be aware that a lovely lady who comments on quite a number of videos and supports and encourages a lot of Slimming World vloggers and has done for a good while and is also quite involved with Instagram is a lady called Susan One and Only. And Susan and I have been corresponding via my comment section and texts and different things for quite some time. And on my journey, she has been a really good encouragement to me. Susan's a Target member and has been for about 3 years. So she's not just talking the talk, she's walking the walk. And I was so blessed this morning. Well, I was so blessed on Thursday when Susan rang me up and said, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods, can I come to your group with you on Saturday morning? And I tell you, that was lovely. And yeah, we went and met Susan this morning at 9 o'clock and I have had a lovely morning. And isn't it funny, you know, you can meet somebody on YouTube and you kind of click in your comments. And Susan and I refer to each other as twins on this programme because all but a couple of pounds or so, we're usually, I mean she's usually a couple of pounds lighter than me, but we're the same height and same sort of weight range, and we've got the same kind of targets, and we like the same kind of healthy foods and things. And you get to know somebody via your YouTube channel like that, and you think when you meet them, oh gosh, I hope they live up to my expectations. Well, Susan, this morning you exceeded expectations. It was like meeting an old friend and feeling so comfortable. Before we went, I said to John, I'm a bit nervous. And he was like, that's not like me. I'm not usually nervous about meeting people and things like that. I'd quite happily stand up and talk in front of 1,000 people. It wouldn't faze me. But I was a bit like, oh gosh, what if I'm not what she thinks I'm going to be? Or what if she's not what I think she's going to be? But Susan, you were exactly what I expected. I say with Susan, she's like me, what you see is what you get. She loves this plan, she lives this plan. She's not paranoid about it, she's very encouraging. And actually having her in group, and she'd come a good distance to go to my group this morning, she hadn't just come down the road. But actually having her in group was lovely, because she just fitted in. And yeah, you have blessed my socks off this morning, Susan. And it was so lovely to meet you, so lovely to meet Tom. And it was, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, they're really nice people.
They are really nice people. And yes, Susan, we must do it again. We must get together more. So for anybody who is making friends via YouTube or Instagram, I would encourage you to get together. I know Dawn Evans and I are going to meet up soon. And it's just lovely to actually put a physical presence to the people that you're getting to know. I mean, I was going to say put a face to the name or whatever, but that don't work for me. With me, it's a hug and a physical presence. But yeah, it was lovely. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for coming all that way and blessing us. So, how was group? Group was fine. It was nice. I mean, we all know groups are groups. We have a format to follow, or the consultants have a format to follow. And they have their personality to it, I suppose. And Naomi's personality works for me in that she's my kind of girl. So we had a good group. It's always a positive place to be. We never have a down in the dumps group. Really enjoyed group, and I've had what I would call an excellent week on plan. Would you confirm that, Joseph?
Yep.
Couldn't have done better, could I?
No,
really,
no blips.
No blips at all. In fact, my tin of sardines is still intact. And it will stay that way, I can tell you, because it's sitting on my desk and it's getting warmer and warmer in this weather. And can you imagine? Sardines in olive oil there. Lukewarm. No way. Anyway, so I'm not going towards the chocolate. I haven't wanted to go towards the chocolate this week. I've had, I would say, perfect on plan week. Really enjoyed my food. Eaten plenty of speed food, plenty of free food, because one of the things I am trying to focus on is not having a fear of some free foods. I think this is something that's built up in me over the years. And funnily enough, I was saying to Susan this morning, I love vegetables. The only vegetable I'm not 100% comfortable with is carrots. Now, we were laughing about, you know, the way our mums and our grandmas used to overcook most vegetables, overcook carrots especially. I can eat a raw carrot, I can eat grated carrot, but you cook it and I'll just push it around the plate. No, it doesn't work for me. And also, looking back over my dieting history, which is really, really long. I mean, I was dieting before a lot of you were born. It's been a long journey. But looking back over that history, so many times I did diets that said avoid carrots, avoid root vegetables. And you know, I think some of that sticks in your subconscious, whatever it's called, subconscious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some of that sticks. And those things like, you know, well, you'll often hear people say who are vlogging for Slimming World, be careful with carbs, don't overeat carbs. I've said it myself, I'm guilty of that. But what I'm learning now is not to have a fear of free foods. In fact, I want to move away really from separating free and speed. Because a lot of the fruit and vegetables I lean towards fall into the speed category. But what I need to remember is all of those foods that fall into the free category are, all of those speed foods rather, that fall into the free category are just that, they're free foods. The fact that they have this S logo, which just implies they are fewer calories, you know, I think I've got too hooked up on thinking you've got to go that way towards the speed. Be careful with the free. There is no way on this plan, and as I understand it today, with the help of my consultant and talking to people who actually live the plan, there is no way on this plan that we should fear free foods. And I think because I've been doing it for so long, that I now have an understanding of portion size and moderation. When I first came into the plan, I had a fear of things like pasta and rice and a lot of especially pasta, because I only knew how to eat pasta off massive pasta plates. My husband would tell you, we had these ginormous pasta bowls from John Lewis's. And I'm not exaggerating when one of those bowls would have took 500 grams of pasta. And believe me, I used to cook for my husband. My husband's a big chap, 6'4", he's a big chap. My husband used to be very, very skinny. He's not now. I fed him up. But I used to cook for my husband and myself and for Joe when he was a little boy. And I would cook a whole bag of pasta. You know, the 500 gram bag, 400 gram bag, whatever they are, the whole bag. So you'd get the spirals or you'd get the penne or whatever. I'd cook the whole bag. Even spaghetti. I'd cook a whole bag of spaghetti. And we used to have these ginormous meals. Now, I know today that if I'm in any doubt at all about the amount of pasta I should have on my plate, all I need to do is refer to the packet and it tells me. And it'll usually say something around 700, listen at me, 75 grams or 80 grams of dried pasta. If you've got a big chap in your life, you push it to 100. But you know, sometimes me and my husband were eating 200, 250 grams of dried pasta. And believe me, when I'm of that kind of mindset, the more I eat, the more I want. Because I don't lock into that I feel full feeling, the satiety thing. But what I've learned from Joe over the past couple of years is give it time. Because sometimes, Joe, we can finish a meal, can't we? And we'll say to each other, I've eaten that, but I'm actually still a bit hungry.
And then we'll get out of the house, go for a coffee, and then you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it takes 20 minutes for the second gut, or the second brain, which is the gut, to liaise with the first brain, which is the thing in here.
Well, sometimes it's just changing your focus as well.
Yeah, because you're kind of into that eating mode.
Yeah, so like eating's pleasurable and it passes the time well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
but
so
you kind of like, oh, a bit more, this is good, a bit more, but like...
But has anybody ever felt like that about lettuce? Has anybody ever felt like that about, you know, speed veg? Would you do that with spinach? Would you do that with Savoy cabbage? Would you do that with romaine lettuce? Or is it generally the pleasure and the comfort that we get from doing that with carby foods? So I don't think there's anything wrong with eating carby foods. It's just about learning portion control. And a lot of times in the time I've been doing this, people have said to me, oh yeah, but you'll never learn portion control at Slimming World. Well, I have. And I think that's where I'm at now. So I'm having far fewer fears around food. That's a lot of F's. I'm having far fewer fears around food because, bottom line, if it's free, I can eat it. If it's speed, I can eat it. If it's lean protein, I can eat it. The one thing I must not do is overeat it. And that brings me on to thinking about when I talk about being either on plan or off plan, I need to change the way I speak around this. Because what I'll say to you is, oh, I've had a perfect on plan week. I have. I've had a 100% perfect on plan week. And then another time I'll come on and I'll say to you, I was off plan. What I want to try and remember to do in future, and pick me up on it if I don't remember to do it, is to say, I am always on plan. But there will be occasions when I choose to overeat. And when I choose to overeat, that's not because I'm off plan, because on this plan, anything is permitted, as long as you account for it. So if I really, really want to on this plan, I can have a piece of birthday cake. If I really, really want to on this plan, I can have fish and chips. I just need to account for it. And I've seen people on plan do it. I've seen Katie Jane weigh in her chips from the chip shop. That's being on plan and not choosing to overeat. You know, there are ways around all of these things. There is nothing that is a demon food. Well, apart from chocolate for me. If I could do chocolate in moderation, I would have chocolate probably once a week and enjoy it. But I can't. I'm not in that place yet. I might get there one day, but I'm not in that place yet. But what I do know is that, you know, I am 2 weeks, I'm 14 days away from having any chocolate at all. And oh my God, I feel so much better for it. My skin's better, my hair's better, my headaches have gone. I feel like I've got energy again. I'm feeling 100% better than I was a couple of weeks ago. Now, what was that practice? What was that phrase I said before I came on? Remind me.
Interrupting an impulse.
I was listening to something on The Minimalist this week. I'm a big fan of minimal living. And I was listening to something on The Minimalist, and he was talking about different ways of interrupting an impulse. So for me, that chocolate thing is an impulse to eat chocolate. An old habit, but it's an impulse. So it rises up in me and something goes, oh, sorry Jane, you've got to have it. You're allowed, you deserve it, you've done really well, you're good, you've had a this week or you've had a that week, and you should reward yourself or you should console yourself, and that impulse is very active. So my use of the tin of sardines is something to interrupt that impulse. And what it means is that it enables you to have a tool to change the behaviour. So, okay, so I've got my tin of sardines in olive oil. And Joe was saying this week, there are very few things that he would be really impulsive around, but there are 1 or 2, aren't there?
Yeah.
And Joe doesn't drink. He stopped drinking, I don't know, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. After too many club nights and things like young people do. But he chooses not to drink because a lot of it is to do with allergies and intolerances. A lot of stuff you can't have. It's better just not to get involved rather than making yourself ill, ending up in hospital because of an intolerance. So you were saying this week, if you had the impulse to eat things you shouldn't be eating, which are generally things you aren't allowed to have really, medically, what would you choose? It wouldn't be sardines in olive oil, would it?
No, it would be stuff like, there's a really strong cider called K cider, and I think it's like 9%, and it's absolutely revolting, so I'd have to have 4 of those first.
So before you can go crazy on an impulse, you'd have to drink 4 of those.
Yeah,
I'll buy you
and
4
any time I've had them, I've been sick. Stuff like the jelly out of pork pies,
yeah.
The fat off bacon, jellied eels, octopus.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You like snails, but you don't like
oh
octopus.
no, it just kind of puts me off the
But you
idea
did
of
like
jelly
snails,
things.
didn't you?
I don't like jelly.
Yeah. So
things.
for everybody out there, whoever you are, whatever your tastes in food are, I would hesitate to guess that there is something that you would find as revolting as I find the sardines in oil, or as Joe would find his K cider. Something that you could use as a tool to interrupt an impulse. Give it a go. You know, it doesn't matter if you fail. It's trying that matters, isn't it? I mean, somebody said the other week on a video, God loves a trier. I'm always blooming trying. You don't succeed at everything, it's how you learn. You know, I've got to this place on my journey by making a lot of mistakes. But yeah, this week I want to talk about having a hungry day. On Tuesday I had a really, really busy day planned. I was spending the morning with a friend, and then she was dropping me at the hairdresser's, I was going to get my hair cut, and then in the afternoon I was seeing another friend, and then in the evening I was going out with another friend. So I had a really full day. Joe was at work. So on Monday evening, I got a phone call from the friend I was seeing on Tuesday morning, and she'd had a fall and broken a rib. So she's like, I really can't do tomorrow morning because I can't drive. Fair enough, accidents happen, I felt really sorry for her, and that's life, isn't it? So that got cancelled. But she was dropping me at the hairdresser's. So I rang my hairdresser on Tuesday morning and said, look, you know, I'm going to come down by taxi, so will you look out for me? Because not all taxi drivers would walk you from the car park to the hairdresser's, so my hairdresser's used to looking out for me. And she said, oh, don't worry about it, just move it to next Monday, come next Monday. And then if Joe's not working, he can drop you off or we'll sort something. So fair enough, okay, change it to Monday. So that's the first two things of my day cancelled. My friend I was seeing in the afternoon got called to a meeting, and she was like, I'm really sorry, this meeting's been brought forward, and if I do pick you up, it's going to be like 4:30. Well, I knew I was going out at 6:30 with another friend, so I'm thinking, like, if I go out with you at 4:30, I'm not going to be back in time to go. So I said, look, leave it, we'll do it another day. And then about half an hour after I'd said that to her, my fourth friend rang up and said, I'm really not feeling very well, I need to go home from work, and can I change it to tomorrow night? So I'm like, yeah, of course, life is not that rigid, you know, you've got to be flexible. And I am lucky to have a lot of friends, and I'm lucky to fit in with them because most of them work. So, okay, so from having a really, really busy day, I had nothing on my calendar. And Joe was at work. And I don't know whether it was a feeling of, I'm badly done to. I don't know whether it was, oh my God, I've got everything else organised now, I've got too much time on my hands. I don't know what it was. But all of a sudden, excuse me, I've got an itch. All of a sudden, I found myself feeling really hungry. So I took myself in hand, sat down, gave myself a bit of a talking to, and said, when you feel like this, what's the best thing to do? It's not to overeat. It's not to go stuff your face with something you shouldn't. Stick to plan. So I added a sachet of rice to my lunch. I added another piece of fruit into my day. I sinned some extra milk so I could have a couple of extra coffees. And I actually got through my day like that. At the end of the day, 1A, 1B, 12.5 sins. Bang on plan. But yet I felt like I'd been able to deal with that hungry feeling, which was quite a big move forward for me, dealing with the hungry feeling, but not going off plan. You know, it gave me a real boost. So I got up the following morning and I thought, give yourself a pat on the back. You did it. You dealt with that hungry feeling without having the impulse to overeat or do something really dumb. So that was a big learning thing for me this week, to actually get through a day when I felt hungry. I would say if I feel hungry once in 100 days, that's it. I regularly am full and satisfied. You don't hear me say very often, do you, Joe, that I'm hungry?
No.
I just don't go that way. I have 3 good meals a day, and that's what my body's used to now. So where am I this week? Well, as I've said, 100% bang on plan, and Joe will agree with that, won't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Really, really comfortable. Feeling good in my clothes, feeling, you know, I think everything I'm wearing today is a size 10. Plenty of space, plenty of room in my shorts, all this sort of thing. Put my slimming gear on this morning, felt good. Said to Joe, I'm not feeling a huge loss, but I'm feeling good. Got to group. Susan went and took a seat. I'm with the lady I usually go and get weighed with, and she was saying there's something wrong with them blood scales this week. I've put 2.5 pounds on. And I was like, oh, well maybe it caught up with you from your holiday the week before. No, it wasn't that. I've had a good week, blah, blah, blah. So I get on the scales thinking, oh well, I don't know, love. I get on the scales and the lady at the scales said, £2 gain. And I looked at her and I went, can I get weighed again? Because this lady was leaning on me. You know, she was like standing really close to me, like leaning on me. Got off the scales, got on again, still a £2 gain. And if I hadn't been 100% on plan this week and really confident and really comfortable with it, I would have been so pissed off. And when I told Joe, when Joe came to pick me up at the end of group, and he was saying like, what do you think I did? What do you think I did? And I'm smiling, and he goes, £2 loss, and I went, £2 gain, and you were gobsmacked, weren't you?
Yeah, I still am. Yeah.
Because I mean, you've seen everything I've eaten this week. Back to basics, 100% on plan, nothing out of the ordinary. Now, a funny thing happened when we went to Costa. You know, we spend a lot of our lives in Costa. And the same couple of Costas we like, don't we?
Yeah.
But one particular one that we really like, where they do an excellent coffee, and they don't all do good coffees. We went in and ordered my usual small coconut latte, which is 4 Sims. It's in the app. And the chappie was very generous and gave me a medium one. And I think he was just being kind. So I said to Joe, that's really, really nice of him, and I really, really love coconut latte, but now I've got to sin it. And I'd spoken to somebody who said it was 8 Sims. So I wrote it down in my food diary, 8 Sims, that's fine. On the day, I hit 15. That's fine, because between 5 and 15, not between 0 and 25, it's between 5 and 15. That's the way I do it, because that's the way the book says. Other people, you know, there are other versions you may choose to follow, but that's the way I do it. Never less than 5, never more than 15, unless I'm overeating, and then I can count it and I can adjust it over the week, but that's a whole nother video. So, bang on 15. Then Joe, in his wisdom, actually checked the app, and this is where it's important to check the app. Joe checked the app and he went, whoa, hang on a minute, it's not 8, it's 5.5. So I could drop 2.5 Sins, took me down to 12.5 on the day. Bang on plan, really comfortable with that. So my average sin count every day this week has been 11.5. If I add it up over the week, divide it by 7. So where did those £2 come from? We don't know. I was going to wear a different outfit because Susan was coming. I thought, oh, I'll put something nice on, and then I thought, no, don't be stupid. She's not coming to see what you're wearing. Put on what you always wear for groups. So I did. Got a £2 gain. And I'm not cross. I'm not disappointed, I'm not unhappy. I'm a Target member and this happens. So what can I say other than what I intend to do this week is swap a few things around a bit, go back to eating more fat. Because I think one of the things I've been doing without giving it too much thought over the last few weeks is I've been reducing my fats. Because if you look at my plan this week, Joe, although I've been eating chicken and things, haven't I?
Yeah, but chicken's not very fatty. Chicken breast isn't very fatty.
No, because I guess the chicken that I was eating that was Sins, it was only Sins because it had sweet chilli sauce in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the chicken itself. I haven't eaten any cheese this week because I've dropped back to 1A and 1B. I've cut out cheese and I have milk. But I have skimmed milk. You know? And I think what I've done, without even giving it real consideration, is I've always said on this plan, I need to eat high healthy fats, low sugar. And I think what I've done, without giving it much consideration at all, is increase my sugars and drop my fats. Because while I'm still eating cherries, because it's such a short season and I love them, and I'll continue... Sorry, that's my mobile. I'll continue to eat them while they're in season, but only the really good ones. I like these particular ones. So once that season finishes, which will be within the next couple of weeks, and cherries are gone until next year, I can live without them. But that is an increase in sugar because they're a free fruit and not speed fruit. That's because of the sugars. But I'm not afraid of eating cherries. I've been eating all bran. I have 50 grams a day because they upped it from 40 to 50.
Sorry, Mum, we're at 24 minutes.
Yeah, upped it from 40 to 50. Still call it a healthy extra B, even though it's 7.5 Sins, 9% sugar. My brain is moving back towards sugar away from healthy fat. So that's my aim for this week, is to up the healthy fats, drop the sugars again, see where it takes me. And I did say to Naomi I want 2 to 3 pounds off next week, so watch this space. I will do my best. But before I try to think about losing weight, I think about enjoying my food. Because if I'm not enjoying my food, that's where I come unstuck. So, lovely week, not at all depressed about gaining weight, it's life. And thank you, Susan. You blessed me this morning, fabulous group. We'll be back next week. Remember, it works if you work it, it won't if you don't, but there are occasions when you do and you come out a little confused. See you next week. Bye.